today I'm going to be making a few store cupboard recipes, and one of those is going to be oat chocolate chip cookies. I've got in my bowl here 115 grams of spread. It can be whatever you have to use on your butter. It can be whatever you have to use on your bread, with 125 grams granulated sugar, and I'm going to cream those together in my mixer. If you haven't got a mixer, use an electric handheld whisk, or if you haven't got that, do it by hand with a wooden spoon. I'm going to cream this until it's light and fluffy. Okay. So once you have a nice light and fluffy texture on your spread and your sugar, what you need to add next is one egg. One large egg, which we have here. I'm going to tap it a couple of times on the side and hopefully pray that we don't get any shelling, which we haven't. There we go. And we're going to whisk that in. Once that egg's gone in, it's time to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract or vanilla essence, whatever you have to hand. If you don't have it, leave it out. It's not the end of the world. It just adds a little bit more flavour. And whisk that in. I think my mixer needs adjusting. Okay, now to this I'm going to add 115 grams of plain flour, and to that I'm going to add half a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of baking powder, and that's just going in there. And we'll give that a bit of a shake around and pop that in. There we go. We don't need to sieve it. This is one of the good things about these biscuits or cookies. We don't need to sieve. But make sure you put your mixer on low if you're doing it. And then wait until it's incorporated before we add our next ingredient. And the next ingredient to go in, 165 grams of oats. It can be whatever oats you've got in the house, but 165 grams going in. Along with one packet, or let me see how many grams this is, 100 grams of chocolate chips of your choice. And pop them all in. There we go. And then give that a whiz. Once it's all incorporated, it's time to take out your mixer. And we're going to pop it in the fridge for at least an hour, if not longer. If you've got longer, that's great, but at least an hour. You can also, if you don't want to cook these, roll them into balls and freeze them in balls, so that when you come to do them, you can actually pop them out the freezer and cook them. So my cookie dough has been in the fridge for over an hour, and I'm going to divide it into balls and cook it. So I've set that oven to gas mark 4, which is 180 degrees C. I'm going to use a scoop to sort this out. So I'm going to spray a little bit of oil on the inside of my scoop. There we go. I'm just going to make little balls and put them on my tray. One. I'm going to use 6 on a sheet, I think. Good. And that's going to go in my oven for 15 minutes on gas mark 4. So now I'm going to be making another store cupboard recipe, which is going to be potato and bean croquettes, or burgers if you will. So I've got a can of 3-bean salad, a 3-bean salad in water that I've drained, and I'm going to pop it onto this kitchen towel to make sure that I dry the beans properly. Now you can use any beans for this. It doesn't just have to be the 3-bean salad. Whatever beans you've got in the house. Cannellini beans are good. You could even use chickpeas. Whatever you've got, kidney beans even. Maybe not a nice colour when they come through, but just whatever beans you've got is good. So we're just gonna let them drain for a minute or two while I put them to one side. And I've got here 200 grams of mashed potatoes, which I'm going to pop in there. So that's going to wait there for a moment. So I'm going to take a little bit of oil and pop it in the the pan. About a tablespoon, that's all we need. If you haven't got any oil, use butter or spread, whatever you want. And then taking a wooden spoon, and what I've done is I've chopped up half an onion here, and I'm going to pop it in the pan, and we're going to soften the onion, and we're going to pop some spices in with it. So we're going to let this, put the light on for you, let this soften for a wee while, and we'll be back when it's softened. So once your onion starts to soften and starts to turn a little bit golden, it's time to add a few spices. In this instance, I've got some garlic powder, and we're going to use about half a teaspoon because we've already used a bit of garlic oil. So I'm going to put some garlic powder in, half a teaspoon going in, just spread it about. Half a teaspoon of turmeric or turmeric, whatever you want to call it. If I can get half a teaspoon out of here. Half a teaspoon of mild curry powder, which is what we've got here. Now you could add more if you want it a bit spicier. As you know, we're wimps. And half a teaspoon of garam masala. And then what we're going to do is add half a teaspoon of chili powder as well, when I find it. So, chili powder. So it's all stuff most people have in their cupboard. And then we're going to toast the spices a bit. Ooh, what a lovely smell. May need a little bit more oil at this stage. Keep it going gently until we can smell the change in the spices. It'll take a couple of minutes, just let it mellow. I can smell them now starting to mellow. So I'm going to take that off the heat, and we're going to go back to our bean and potato mixture. Okay, so back to our potato mixture. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to add our beans to it. You'll remember that we had these beans earlier. Now I've left them in the kitchen towel so that the water would drain off, and you can see it on the worktop. And we're going to pop those in there, and I'm going to mash the beans into the potatoes. So just crush them on the side of your bowl. If you like them fairly chunky, that's fine, go with it. If you like them quite fine, then keep going. So, apologies, you didn't see me add the onion mixture because my husband was talking to me and I forgot to film it. However, here we go. I've put the onions in and I've given it a good mix. So what I'm going to do now is add a bit of salt and pepper. Need seasonings, don't we? That's our pepper and our salt. Now, don't forget that potatoes can take a lot of seasoning. Try this out. Oh, sorry, that went down the wrong way. I think that could do with a bit more salt. What we need to do now is add 2 tablespoons of flour, plain flour, to our mixture. 1. And this is just to help it bind. If we had it as it is, you'd probably find that it will fall to pieces easily when you come to cook it. So this is going to act as a binder. You don't just have to use plain flour, you could use corn flour or breadcrumbs if you want to put breadcrumbs in there. Going to shape it into little burgers now. Okay, right, don't over mix it, whatever you do. Get a tray with some parchment on it, such as this one, and we're going to shape these into patties. Now it's up to you how big they are, but my advice for everything is put some flour in your hands and then rub it in your hands, and then take whatever size you're after. So I'm just going to make little ones like so, roll it into a ball, press it down and pop it onto your sheet. And we're going to continue like that until they're done. So we're going to pop those in the fridge for an hour just to set up, and then we're going to cook them.